Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Money Matters, because as you know, we believe
yes,
money does matter, and it's never been so important to understand basic financial concepts ever. So Abi. Hello. You are a property investor, just like me.
Yes.
And you kindly invited me on your show.
Yes, we did.
To talk about the ins and outs of massive gas price increases and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Have any of your students, any of your friends, have they raised any concerns about, well, what's all this gas, electric, everything going to do to the cost of running my property portfolio?
Yes, we've had a few chats, and even myself, I'm thinking, when you're running large SAs, commercial property, HMOs, how do you control the gas and the rising costs? Because you're still only getting the same renting.
Yeah, so let's make sure everybody understands what Abi just said, because there's some sort of technical stuff in there. SA means serviced accommodation, so you might know it as a holiday let. We don't like calling it holiday let, because yes, you could have holiday makers in there.
Yes.
But you could have contractors or builders or whatever. Now the point being, with serviced accommodation, fantastic, but one of the things that we as landlords have to pay for is the gas, the electric, which is of course going up by a whopping predicted 70%. Can you even get your head around that figure?
Youch.
It's insane, isn't it?
It is insane.
So one of the tools that I find very useful when I'm trying to understand the cost of everything over time is the Bank of England inflation calculator. So it's a free resource. You can just Google it and basically just explain it to you. It allows you to pick your years. Yeah. So I picked, it only goes up to 2020. So I picked the year 2000. Yeah. And 2020. Yeah. And if you add £20, which is the figure I've put, as you see on the screenshot, into the calculator, and effectively you can press a magic button that says, well, to buy that same £20 worth of stuff, how much money would I need now? Mm-hmm. So what do you think? So if in the year 2000 to get £20 worth of stuff, how many pounds would you need today to get the same shopping basket of stuff?
25, 26 pounds?
34.
£34.
Mm-hmm. So if you had a £20 note back in 2020 and you tucked it under your pillow or whatever, and then you brought it out 20 years later, you would need £34 to buy the same amount of stuff. Yeah, and you don't even need me to tell you that, do you? I mean, a cup of coffee, how much does a coffee cost from Costa or wherever? You could easily spend £3 on a coffee.
Oh, 3, 4, yeah, definitely.
So it's just insane. It's not only about... So the first thing that you mentioned was service accommodation.
Yes.
But you then went on to talk about various other property strategies where we, the landlords, are responsible for the utilities.
Correct.
So you then mentioned HMOs, that's a house of multiple occupation. So that's where you're renting it by the room. Yeah. So you might have, I don't know, a 5-room HMO, 5 different people. And the critical thing there is we're responsible for the utility costs, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
How do people in HMOs typically control the utility costs? They typically have the boiler all up to the max, and the way in which they control how warm their room is by opening
the window.
There you go, you said it before me. So a couple of obvious things you can do. There are various systems on the market where you can override the HMO occupant's ability to whack the boiler up to, thermostat up to 32 centigrade or something insane. Yeah. So there's Hive, there's loads of them, but basically you can have a landlord control system. That's one of the things you could do. So if you haven't got that in your HMO, I think you can't afford not to.
No, absolutely not.
So we've got them in all of our HMOs, and we're not that miserable if it's free. No. They've got a boost button so they can warm it, but it only lasts for an hour. Yeah. And all that stuff. So this is just being common sense, isn't it? Yeah. So that's one thing you could do. What other things can you do to control rising energy costs? Now, I want to tell you, I mentioned in your episode that I trundle about the country listening to Radio 4.
Yes, you do.
All right, so I was listening to this lady who's a hotel owner in Norfolk, and she was saying, with all the increasing gas prices, her monthly gas bill between her old contract and a new contract has just gone up by £10,000. 10 grand a month.
Wow.
And she said she's doing everything she can. She's put in draft proofing, insulation.
Okay.
If the hotel's not full,
yeah,
she's shutting off entire floors.
Yeah.
As soon as the restaurant's finished of an evening, she's shutting the doors and turn all the lights off, turning the electric off, turn the gas off.
Yeah.
As soon as she's, instead of serving her guests in the bar for night time, she's actually moved them into reception. So she can shut off the bar area, turn off and it's still going up by £10,000.
Yeah.
What she said is that it's unavoidable. I can't stop this. I'm going to have to put up the cost of food, the cost of drinks, cost of accommodation. Yeah. So energy, as I started saying in your episode, is at the base of everything.
Yeah.
So if you think that it's just the gas prices going up, but that's all right, no, everything is going to go up because everything requires energy. The amount by which it goes up is variable. I've got a special offer for you.
Oh, please.
A magical solution to this. This is actually a copy of Dumbledore's wand. I got this in Secret Santa a couple of years ago from the office. But specifically, what I want to give you is a magic bullet. What is the magic bullet that can solve all of our problems?
Go on, go for it. I need to know.
As a property investor. Well, as a property investor, we can of course invest in property strategies where we are not responsible for paying the utility bills.
Very true.
Can we not?
Yes, we can.
So which property strategies would you recommend or are you comfortable with that don't require us to pay the utility bill?
Well, you've got your normal buy-to-let.
Yes, buy-to-let.
Commercial property.
I love my commercial.
Because that's hassle-free.
Yeah, and you could do some sort of more advanced strategies, perhaps like rent to buy.
Yes, rent to buy, that's a great one. A good shout.
You could, if you're doing service accommodation, you could completely remove any impact of energy costs on you if you were doing your service accommodation under a management agreement.
Yes.
So a management agreement, if it was us, typically we would take a landlord's property, we would organise the channel manager, sort out all the bookings, everything else, and we would typically charge 20%.
Yes.
So that way you are disconnecting yourself from the cost base.
Yeah.
And you're just charging. So I think I've just given you 3 magic bullets.
There we go.
What else can we do? Well, service accommodation, I'm actually not worried about energy costs. Mm-hmm. Because if you're in an environment as a consumer where the cost of everything is going up.
Yes. Yeah.
The other magic bullet is put your prices up. If we think about your SA service accommodation, my service accommodation, what's the cheapest night rate you've got for any of your service accommodations?
I'd probably say it's Ocean Queen Cottage in Filey.
Yeah.
And I think the minimum we go down to is about £140 a night.
£140 a night. And with, staycations and holidays and all that, if the cost of everything has just gone up, do you think that customers, guests, wouldn't stay if it was 150 instead of 140?
No, I don't think that would make a difference.
So, service accommodation operators, you've got to be not afraid to increase your prices, is my view.
Yeah.
And that applies, by the way, to every kind of property. Because if I think about the project we did together in Austerfield.
Yes.
So we turned a 2-bedroom bungalow into a 4-bedroom bungalow.
We did.
When we started that project, your analysis was that comparable rents in the area were, I can't remember, was it 850?
850 I did, yeah.
£850?
Yeah.
And by the time we finished the project,
okay,
it was quite a big project, so it took us 5 months, 6 months, something like that.
6, I think.
6 months. So just in that 6 months, the rental market, the cost of renting a property, so it's a lovely 4-bedroom property, what amount of rent does our company actually get for that now?
1,200.
So think about that. So the rental market price when we started was 850.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And then a few months later, it's 1,200 quid. So you've got to have your finger on the pulse. Otherwise, you're just going to be bleeding money. So regularly review your prices. Now I'm saying prices, that could be per night or it could be for a buy-to-let, whatever you do. Regularly review your prices. And if you've got commercial property, it's super important that you do this. In the FRI lease, in the full repair and insurance lease, there will be probably 3 or 5 year rent reviews. What I always do is I put in RPI plus. So that means the inflation rate plus. Yeah. So if inflation carries on mental 7%, whatever it is, then my income as a commercial landlord is protected because it's RPI, so it's the inflation rate, plus, in my case, 1% a year.
Yeah.
So that's another way we can do it. Now, I want to go back to the Bank of England inflation calculator just for a few moments.
Yeah.
Because you were a bit shocked that 20 quid,
Sorry.
and I thought it was not to be sneezed at, this information. Anyway, if we go full circle and we start to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Thank you for being my guest, by the way.
Thank you.
The average, so your 20 quid becoming 34 quid.
Yeah.
Over the last 20 years, we've had an average inflation rate of 2.8%.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you can imagine if the inflation rate is now, it's currently 5.4, so that's like double what it's been. But with all these gas prices and everything the next few months, even the Bank of England says it's going over 7%.
Gosh.
So if we stay at 7.2% for the next 10 years, which there are many scenarios that could be worse. If you've got £5 now,
yeah,
and the inflation rate keeps going at 7.2%,
yeah,
how many pounds will you need in order to buy the same amount of stuff 10 years from now?
Don't know. I can't do that maths.
10.
Double.
And guess what? 10 years after that,
gosh, double
again. So your current £5, at the rate we're going, you're going to have £10, and your rate you're going, we're going to have £20. Now, if we bring that back to the average salary, average salary is currently £25,000-ish.
Yeah.
So that means 10 years from now, you need to be on £50,000.
Yeah.
10 years from now, you need to be on £100,000. So I'm saying that for two reasons. People often say to me, and I'm sure to you too, Abby, can the cost of houses keep going up forever? Well, yeah, because if inflation keeps going bonkers, then the cost of everything is...
Yeah. Yeah.
But, hand on heart, do you think the average person 20 years from now is going to be on 100 grand?
No, well, what people were on 20 years before and what my mum's salary was, I definitely can't see that.
No. So you need to protect yourself between the £5 that you've got now needs to be £20. And we both think, I know I can speak for Abby on this, that property and property investment is a fabulous way to do it. So if you were talking to the lovely viewers and saying, you know, and they're now, Jesus, I didn't realise it was that bad.
Yeah.
I need to do something about it. What would your advice be so that they're not worried about the £20 situation versus the £5? Where would you start?
Well, probably from what I did. So I would get educated and start property investing. And the best place to do that is at our Wealth Through Property 2-day seminar.
It is. We've got one going on right now.
We have.
So get yourself down to Wealth Through Property. If you've enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, tell a couple of your mates to, you know, it's good stuff. And get yourself along to Wealth Through Property. So many people have started their journey then, you know, including your mum.
Including my mum.
As we said on the last episode with Abby. And if you missed Abby's episode, it's good. Go back and watch it, please, because this is a 2-part series. So if you've got anything where you're thinking, geez, I can't believe it's gone up that much, pop it in the chat box below, because I'd like to see what it is that you're doing as a property investor, where the prices have gone bananas. Is it construction materials? Is it hourly rate for your trades? You know, what is it? What is it that's gone bonkers that's going to impact you as a property investor? Because what I'd like to do with that information is I'd like to see what your concerns are, and I'd like to, you know, maybe follow up with a month. Well, I don't know, depending on what it is. One of the two of us can follow up on it. So what I want you to do, I want you to have this as a final thought. I want to make sure that your £5 today is worth at least £20 in 20 years' time. And I don't want you stressing about gas prices, service accommodation prices. I just want to finish with this absolutely final thought. In this game, you can either be a user, a guest, or you can be a provider. Yeah. My goal is to make as many as people as possible providers, so that they can benefit from these rising prices, as opposed to get crucified by these rising prices.
There we go.
You know how I'm going to end, because I always do. You, each and every one of you, are wonderful, just exactly as you are. We've been Paul and Abby, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.